Welcome back, Dota 2 fans. Game 2 of your South American Qualifier Grand Finals between Sacred and paiN, playing for a spot in the Galaxy Battles Emerging Worlds LAN Final. Trying to join Secret, Spirit, Optic, and Mineski, who've already qualified in their respective regions. And paiN Gaming, HFN tagged up with Heart Marcella. Certainly must have made her proud with the performance he put on in Game 1. Sacred, though, certainly no slouch, has been following King Tekka and his squad for a long time. And this is a very evenly matched series overall. Again, Sacred will go for the paiN ban early on. Batrider going to be removed from the pool for King Tekka from paiN's side. Hope you guys are enjoying your Thursday. Tomorrow begins the month of December, so hopefully you guys are on the nice list. And if not, hopefully you got some good Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals to account for the lump of coal you'll be getting in 25 days. Earthshaker ban comes out from paiN, and partly because perhaps Sacred does have second pick, and that is one of the supports that they like to play. Mentioned that in the first draft. Wyvern ban does come out from Sacred, so it looks like they won't want to run that as they picked it up last game, but usually ends up coming out in the first slot. Ogre Magi going to be the pick from paiN Gaming. Still do have the Earth Spirit, the Rubik in the pool. Sacred definitely have shown the ability to play both of those heroes. Clockwork as well seems to be held in rather high regard by both sides. And we'll see if any sort of switch of pace happens here for Sacred. They did pick up the Leo-style Shadow Fiend relatively early in the last draft in that third slot. And, you know, despite still somehow coming out with a rather favorable mid lane matchup, did seem like some kind of, I don't want to say mental lapses. I mean, maybe paiN just dealt with the Shadow Fiend nicely, but, you know, the idea to bring the Wyvern near the Rune early on, knowing that they had to be, you know, with 3 heroes in base was a bit questionable, I'd say. Sacred do take the Brewmaster away from Tavo in this one, who absolutely balled in Game 1. Talked about, you know, HFN and his Morphling and how much work he did, but really did feel like the kind of main cog in that machine from paiN Gaming Game 1 was Tavo. And I'd certainly give him my MVP vote. paiN going to go for the Tiny here. Very interesting pick for them. Gives him a building hitter. You've got the Bloodlust behind him. A little bit of burst damage available as well. We don't often see the Avatos combo maxed anymore, but you know, gives him a bit of everything. Has proven to be a pretty capable mid laner with his ability to push the wave with the cleave, harass the opponent with the cleave, last hit with it as well. And having a Bloodlust behind him could be even more effective. We do see the Rubik ban that I mentioned earlier come out from Sacred. They actually are going to take out the Nature's Prophet as well. And Razor coming out of the pool from paiN. Storm Spirit again going to be banned away from Leo style. You know, there is his Queen of paiN in the pool that he favors heavily. We'll see where Sacred go as far as direction in the draft.
Mirana.
All right, So Sacred going to pick up the Mirana here, formerly for King RD in the mid lane. Sacred taking the Brewmaster and the Mirana out of paiN's book from game 1. And I have to say that, I mean, these are just high-tier heroes in the meta recently, so I can't say this is like a stolen draft or anything. However, in my experience casting and watching Dota, when we see teams mimic the picks of their opponents into second and third games in the series, it doesn't necessarily always pan out very well. But as I mentioned before, I mean, these aren't heroes that, your players in their respective roles are not going to play. They're not very kind of edge case heroes. These are typical. So I don't know that necessarily applies here, but just something to mention. There's the Clockwork both these teams like. Sacred will pick that up. So Matthew will be playing Clockwork for both his games, more than likely. As Masoku likely to pick up this 5-position Lion. Shadow Shaman comes out for paiN, gives him a little bit more authority as far as pushing structures that they already had with the tree grab.
Templar Assassin.
All right, so the TA coming out for paiN here for King RD, more than likely. And it is a good TA game thus far, to say the least. Cogs can certainly be very annoying, but definitely feels like, at least in lane, TA should have a good time. Tidehunter ban from Sacred. Makes a lot of sense. Throw your Tidehunter at a tower with wards behind him, or the big kind of Monkey King style range from the Tiny. Can be very hard to engage into. Gyrocopter ban comes out from paiN. And it does feel like, with the Bloodlust, the Tiny, and the TA, that paiN are more than happy with this kind of dragging on. So they take out this high-paced, up-tempo hero in the Gyrocopter. And one hero that can kind of burn Refraction with the Rocket Barrage. And now they add the Omni Knight to their defensive capability. So, imagine the Refraction in this game. You add Repel to that. Even stronger hero in the Templar Assassin. Sacred, mulling over their final pick, will likely be a safe laner for them. Or Benjaz. And they actually end up picking the DP here. So King Tekka in the off lane, perhaps, on the Mirana. Leo style mid DP, who does have a good matchup overall versus the TA, especially with a Clockwork. And can kind of trade with the Ogre early on as long as she's got Siphon charges. And it's going to be Benjaz picking up a safe lane Brew. So very interesting laning configuration from Sacred. Now, it does kind of, beg to be mentioned here, though, that if paiN Gaming make it through this first 20 to 25 minutes in this game, they feel a lot stronger than Sacred would. Maybe I'm just spitballing. What do I know? I'm just a legend 4-star scrub. But it definitely feels like the Radiant side outscale the Dire pretty heavily. Although, I mean, we saw the power of the Brewmaster in game 1. Sorry, I should reverse that statement. The Radiant... the Dire outscale the Radiant fairly heavily. You get the point. Lucha after. I believe that means wrestling Just guessing by the luchador. So maybe fight, you know. Alright guys, let's have fun and then beat the shit out of each other after. Seems a very South American sentiment to spread. As, you know, this region in general has, you know, seemed to kind of harbor a lot of fun-loving players. Bottom lane, Masoku going to get scouted briefly. King RD nearby. Could have maybe thrown the avalanche, but likely wants the tree dance early on. And Masoku had definite chance to kind of double Earth Spike and walk away. But could have been a first blood. Not the prettiest hero, this lion guy. So it looks like in general, you know, we'll see the 2-for-2 bounty trade as long as Leo Style makes his way up north. He'll actually make his way down, so could even see a 3-for-1 trade for the already up 1-0 paiN Gaming side. Tavo going to do some blocking for his HFN mid laner, who's looking pretty fly on the TA. And we'll miss the block, but as long as you look good doing it, right? Cog's going to come out from Matthew as well to ensure Leo Style has a good early start up against the Ogre and TA. Matthew doesn't have Cogs, though. They should be aware of this for the next little bit. So this does allow HFN to kind of run up towards the wave. Benjaz, much like Tavo in Game 1, is going to be in the safe lane by his lonesome on the Brewmaster. And Tavo on the Omni Knight picks up the early degen aura. One of the most obnoxious spells in the game. Can't say I don't pick Omni Knight, though, to be honest. Off lane player here. Yeah, is the mid lane beginning off on a good foot for Sacred's side. And denied. Matthew is going to be able to cog in the Ogre. They get the Spirit Siphon off as well, but he should be able to bounce back to safety. Indeed he does. Battery Assault now used by Matthew perhaps means they can sort of play on top of the wave a little bit more. And we do see the Masoku Lion rotation up to top lane, just to look to harass Tavo. And HFN with a bit of quote-unquote friendly banter in the mid lane. Lol. King RD bottom lane looking to trap in. Benjaz does find the avalanche there, and they'll bring in the shackles as well. Ogre Magi nearby. Benjaz trying to juke his way out. Gets a 3-man thunderclap, but he will be first blood as King RD with the tree grab is able to find it. Now top lane, Tavo trying to be aggressed on Masoku, though he can't just trade with this Omni Knight. Matthew rotating in, however. Impale does fly. Arrow going to be there. Nice movement, though, by Tavo. We'll keep him safe for now. He's got a Purification if need be. Drops the first one. And should be able to make it away here. Level 3. Hard kill. So effectively tanky with the degen aura and the Purification. And HFN will finally get his wish of 1v1 morons in the middle lane. Although he's playing at a big time deficit at this point. 13-5 on the Death Prophet to the 8-1 of the TA. As Matthew rotates back in to make his life hell. So paiN Gaming with the first blood. CS, though, by and large in the favor of the Radiant side. Now mid lane, Cogs for Matthew may have just kind of put him in trouble, and he is forced to back away. HFN does get his refraction charges burned down. Second null comes out for the Death Prophet. Meanwhile, top lane, things looking pretty deep here. Tavo, he's going to be taken out. He buys back. Je m'excuse? That's French for excuse me. For those of you uncultured folk. No, I'm kidding. Alright, so we saw an early buyback from Tavo in Game 1, so he's certainly not afraid of doing this, but that one, much less impactful than his original one. Haven't talked about Duster much on the Shadow Shaman. 6 CS to his name. He is level 3. So, you know, on pace with the rest of the supports. HFN, though, at the bottom of the charts, level 3 on the TA. Did you see that? Incredible here. And we'll take a spill. And it is only 4 minutes in, so there's not a big widespread distribution of experience. But HFN going to drop in the mid lane, and I'm sure he's had a very fun early game thus far. After what was, you know, seemingly a very easy kind of Morphling game in game 1. Will now press forward in the mid lane as he sees a couple of heroes top. Duster just harassing out Benjaz with that 10,000 base damage of the Shadow Shaman. HFN farming enemy woods here 5 minutes into the game. Seems good. Will even do his enemies a favor and stack up for them. Matthew actually going to spot him out here. And yeah, HFN has quite the early game on his hands. TP inbound now, bottom lane. It's going to be the Lion. HFN doesn't have a refraction just yet. Gets, oh, misplaced cogs from Matthew will mean he survives. Meanwhile, Benjaz going down underneath the tower with Duster rotating in. And that is a costly misfire from Matthew's Clockwork. As HFN was out in no man's land, almost seemingly triggered behind enemy lines there. But he ends up surviving. They get Benjaz again bottom lane. And Shackle Avatos once again going to finish him off. It is a 1-1-3 build, so not a major amount of damage coming out from that Avatos combo, but enough to get the job done. HFN going to have his bounty rune snagged away here, and maybe Duster rotates in to try and take out Matthew, but wisely Matthew will utilize that rocket flare to know whether he's safe. Now Arrow going to fly out top lane, hit onto Tavo. Hex is there, second Starstorm, and the right click. And the Omni Knight going to drop for the second time in this one. Won't buy back this time as it's on cooldown for 5 minutes. Shrine up from Duster and King RD. They'll make a smoke likely towards the mid lane here. Although Benjaz should likely have communicated to his team that bottom lane is vacant. Even Benjaz, though, feeling like he may be aggressed on as he's been killed off the last couple of times. And now mid lane, toss forward. They are going to find the Shackle onto the DP. Cogs will keep back the Tide Hunter for now, but they should be able to get Leo style. Another right click needed. Spirit Siphons aplenty, though. Keep him alive. And the Clap going to kill off King RD. Still, though, HFN pressing forward. Masoku in trouble. They do end up getting the tick from the Ignite to kill off Masoku. As King RD, the unfortunate death there on the Tiny. When all is said and done, though, the Tiny for the Clockwork and DP, and almost even the Lion. So, paiN are okay with this. HFN, you know, he's finally starting to come back into relevance as far as net worth goes. Take a look at CS. He's, you know, climbing his way back up that metric as well. Tavo, level 6 now on the Omni Knight. King RD working on his Shadow Blade, so overall did feel like a successful rotation. Benjaz finds a bit of farm bot lane, but you could see he was almost playing tentatively there. Mid lane HFN going to drop down a defensive Psionic Trap. Haste going to fly through, though, and the Clockwork, you know, he was scouted by the Ogre, so perhaps that's why he decides to back. Meanwhile, bot lane Shackle into the Avatos combo. Moonlight Shadow will keep Benjaz alive for now, and rotation in from Matthew's Clockwork won't do all of much. Any of much. All of, I don't know what the heck I was trying to say. Exorcism pop mid lane. Immediately, the Glyph going to fly out. Meanwhile, Duster going to be trapped in the Cogs bottom. Masoku hits a Ravage onto 3. Hex will be there, but the Avalanche comes out just before. Toss up into the air with the Cleave. It looks like Benjaz was able to dodge one of those hits, but how many more can he dodge? As the right clicks fly through, another toss is available. Up into the air. Ogre doesn't kill off Benjaz. And still surviving is the Brewmaster. King RD really not scared, but doesn't get any kills here. Meanwhile, mid lane, Tavo in trouble, is going to be forced to throw the Purify out. But they have backed off the DP. Now King RD looking to press forward. Again, a dodge for Benjas. That value point in the Drunken Brawler. Really putting in work there. As King RD so very unfortunately does not find anything in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, King Tekka, the captain, having a much better start in this game than in the previous affair. Picks himself up a Dragonlance here, sub 10 minutes, and Aquila on his person as well. Duster, though, rotating back into the bottom lane. Finishes off the Lion. No tree grab for the next little bit. King Tekka rather low. And Duster looking to eclipse that level 6 mark. Does not quite have it. Matthew scouting him out. TP in to the front lines from Benjaz. Had a primal split. No, he's not even level 6. He just now dings it on the Brewmaster. And HFN, jungle farming, stacking up. Suppose that is one thing you can do with traps now that they do damage, is stack some camps. I don't think Psionic Trap used to gain aggro, so Benjaz looking to make a move with his first primal split, and the Radiant Wave is pushed underneath the tower here, so you know, paiN Gaming shouldn't be too aware of this, as they could still suspect people are in the bottom lane, just not showing. Ogre Magi, the only one showing mid. I don't feel that paiN really care if he dies. They may care if their tier 1 does, though, and that's the real objective for Sacred here. He will pop the stick up, Bloodlust, try and get away from this inevitable death, but Crypt Swarm will finish him off. I almost called it Carrion Swarm. Didn't want to have Blizzard come after me. With the second wave of the Siege Creep, though, paiN, with the combination of King RD and Duster working on bottom lane. And King RD gets a kill on the tower to respond to the one they lost mid lane. Tavo could be in trouble here. We did see pings coming out from the Shadow Shaman. There's no TP, however, on this Omni Knight as Tavo begins to make the slow walk back to base. And it looks like he should be safe, as he'll scout Benjaz top lane. Does have the repel in level 1. So should be okay to survive. We'll vacate the top lane for now. No pushes being found elsewhere for the Dire side. But it looks like their tier 1 top lane in a pickle, to say the least. As they'll TP in mid lane as well to look to deter any sort of trade being found by paiN. Ogre hanging around. Matthew as well playing rather safe. Tavo, he's going to be the first one to show top lane. King RD under the cover of smoke and the Shadow Blade. Maybe looking to toss back onto the Omni Knight. Moonlight Shadow will fly out. He will get the Ava toss off onto the Mirana, but doesn't do quite enough damage. And now the Primal Split comes out, and Repel is there with the GA. They can't do all that much damage to King RD. They will purge the GA, however, with the Wind Panda. And now Tavo's in trouble. He is going to purify himself up. King RD hangs around, gets cycloned up. And it looks like they could lose both heroes here top lane as Tavo goes down. King RD, though, back into the cover of Shadow Blade. Looking for the kill on Mirana. Can't find it. Toss forward. No! The raindrops. Oh, my. King Tekka survives as the toss only level 2. Meanwhile, mid lane, they did get the Death Prophet, however. And paiN will get the tower. So they end up losing Tavo for the Death Prophet, keep their tower alive, and get the mid lane tower. You gotta call that a win for paiN Gaming as they draw the score up here 8-8 at minute 13. A lot of heroes spending time together as well for Sacred. You know, the net worth lead is now barely in the favor of paiN, and they've got some more economic recovery available to them, or stimulus, maybe I should say. They aren't really recovering from anything, as the lead is theirs right now, although not a major one. Scan is going to find the TA, though, and wow, it's a dire scan, in fact. Heads up play from HFN and his squad. Now King RD rotating through the mid. Should know there are other heroes nearby, though. Sentry was just dropped down. He had a DD, so was looking for an instant kill and back out with the Bloodlust move speed. Doesn't find it. Mirana going to kind of show bottom lane as the arrow flies out. And now King RD rotating through with the Ogre Magi. Tavo nearby as well. HFN has just done a great job to kind of AFK since that early start. And has the Blink Dagger on the TA, which is what allows him to extract himself from any danger over by those Ancients. And it's a thwarted smoke attempt by the Radiant. They will at least be able to take this tier 1 because of it, but already posturing bot lane, the entire paiN lineup, looking to take out this tower. They'll drop the wards immediately. A couple of right clicks from King RD will finish up the wave. And they should be able to trade this tier 2 for their tier 1 top. So paiN Gaming finding the better end of the stick here. King RD even fortunate enough to pick up the last hit, working on what seems to be an assault cuirass. As HFN, excuse me,
is under attack.
Queued up a Yasha at this point. HFN does end up TPing out of the game. And a pause will come through. We've been rather fortunate today as far as South American games go with respect to pauses. But HFN will return now to his post.
Selfish.
Duster hanging around his vision here. Tavo up on the high ground, kind of baiting his Shadow Shaman out. King RD behind enemy lines, bloodlusted, shadow bladed. Will be a hard kill on either of these heroes, both boasting over 1100 HP. And yeah, he'll think better of it as he makes his way towards mid. Matthew rotating through. And King RD has the vision from the ward. Pause comes out. HFN DCs again. And this almost could be beneficial for Leo style. He may have been baited in here. Let's look at the Radiant Vision. Yeah, Radiant Vision sees everyone. You know, the Clockwork perfectly positioned. Had he been just to the south, they wouldn't see the Shadow Shaman. But now that they see 3 heroes, no blink on Benjaz. I don't know. It is possible that they could fight this. I mean, press forward for Leo style, and Yule's up King RD. You get the instant kind of split coming out from Benjaz. They can make a fight out of this. You know, Moonlight Shadow, leap towards the fight for the Mirana. It is certainly possible. But the first thing that's going to happen, we know for sure. Okay, never mind. I was going to say is that the Clockwork will get tossed up into the air. That's not the case, as King RD is out of mana for the toss. So the Avalanche is not going to do all that much damage at all. In fact, there's raindrops here, so... Tavo, he's soul ringed up, can purify, and that's going to do, you know, is level 4, so 300 damage to the clock, but... Yeah, Fork Lightning going to come out first, Shackle thereafter. Still, I don't know if they quite have the damage. After resistances, you know, that 320, say it's about 280. So they'll take half his health away immediately, but is that enough for them to stick around? They do have the Ogre rotating through from the south side. HFN will not be in this fight, and more than likely neither will Masoku. Benjaz is scouted on the wave by the Dire, so... Dire side vision does not see Leo style, but they did just ping that area from Duster. So they should have some idea that he's nearby. Unless they're stream sniping, which would be very unsportsmanlike. But there is a pretty big delay here, so... Would not be... would not be very easy to accomplish. And all of a sudden, HFN, guys, top of the net worth here, 14 minutes in. He had a brutal start on this TA. I mean, only 1 death, but, you know, as far as CS in lane and being under-leveled, he had all of it. And he's now 120 CS, top of the net worth, level 12 as well. So his team just done an excellent job of creating space. King RD's rotations have been flawless, it feels. He makes that 1 rotation in towards the mid lane. He does end up dying there, but they get the Death Prophet and the Clockwork. He then makes the rotation up to top, where him and Tavo, just pretty much the 2 of them, fend off the entire Sacred lineup. And in the meantime, HFN gets a kill on the Death Prophet mid lane and takes the tower. So really does feel like King RD in this one has been a huge, impactful player for his side. Maybe hugely impactful, I should say. So, South American Dota gives us a pause. Nothing all that uncommon, as HFN now he will return to the game. And You know, with pretty good vision for both sides. We'll see how this fight shakes down. Clockwork could be in a little bit of trouble. Ether shocked up. Moonlight Shadow will come out, and they'll drop him immediately. King RD in trouble now. Arrow will not connect. Repel, GA, TP out. Perfectly executed. Masoku, though, rotating through as he TP'd to the shrine. Will find a two-man impale. Ogre going to go for the TP out. Second star, though, will finish him off. Duster makes it down to the south. Meanwhile, in the mid, Tavo in trouble. Likely will drop. And he indeed does as Primal Split expires. So they get the clock, but they'll lose the Omni and the Ogre for it. Still, though, HFN farming away. They get King RD, their most important target in that fight, out. And the Primal Split was used. So despite this being a win for Sacred, does to some extent feel like it opens up a window for paiN to make a move. It's not as if Sacred end up getting any objectives off this. So paiN are more than happy to take that fight in this area. I mean, what are they going to take even if they win it? And they're going to use the Primal Split. So I think paiN should still be pretty content with that slight team fight loss. 16-minute rune approaches. King RD going to hang around. Radiant Scan will catch him. And we'll see if Masoku's got a sentry. He does not. Meanwhile, Duster looking for Leostyle. Leostyle just going to silence and TP out. And you can just see the paranoia on the Death Prophet. But a wise play nonetheless. Prevent the Tiny from stopping the TP if he was nearby with the Shadow Blade. Really good recognition from the Death Prophet player there. Tavo going to get to work and does have the Midas on the Omni Knight. HFN should have his Deso pretty soon. He's actually gone for the Yasha into SNY here, it seems. Pretty cool build. A little bit of extra move speed against the Death Prophet and the Clockwork and the Mirana. Just going to help to tank up. Doesn't quite give you the burst potential, of course, but still. King RD hanging around bot lane as Duster does get a bit of D-warding down. Hookshot, though, will find the Clockwork. Meanwhile, nearby with that Monkey King-like range is King RD. And it looks like for now they'll just sacrifice Duster as King RD has some vision nearby, sees some other heroes rotating in. And will be the one kill for Matthew to attain. HFN sort of playing around his vision. Looks like he might have been briefly scouted by the rocket flare overhead. Masoku will make quick work of those illusions top. Ogre hanging around with HFN top lane. Leostyle does TP in. Yule Scepter comes out and Fire Bliss will stop the split from coming out. Ogre Magi, it looks like Gambling may just suicide? Oh, he makes it away. Beautifully played by the Ogre, hiding himself away, ensuring the TA stays on the map, continues to farm away. And her farm has grown considerably. As King RD shoves in the bottom lane. And no real significant award attained by the attempt on the Primal Split. Didn't use the Primal Split, should be explicit about that, but he did attempt to use it. Perhaps one of the few spells in the game with a higher cast animation than Ogre's Fire Blast is that Primal Split. Duster under the cover of invisibility, looking to find someone in this bottom to mid area, but shortly the Dire will see that, 4 heroes top lane for their enemies. And hey, why not take a poke at a tier 3 while they poke at your tier 2? This seems worth it. They are going to drop down the wards. Glyph going to be pop. Masoku and Benja is going to look to immediately clean those up. So we'll just be a free bit of gold. But they do kind of force the back out of the top lane for Sacred as well. HFN doesn't have refraction up here. Arrow will fly, does not whiff. He barely gets it off with just enough mana. Is able to TP away. Ogre could be in trouble. Gets the Fire Blast off, but the Spirit Siphon is there. Crypt Swarm and a couple of right clicks from the Mirana will finish him off. Meanwhile, King RD trying to do exactly the same bottom lane and find an opening. Knowing that 3 heroes are missing top lane for Sacred side. Thus they're going to rotate in as Windlace and the Arcanes, but no sort of Blink Dagger initiation here. TP out from King Tekka will be successful. Unfortunately, Duster not able to get in range. Sonic Trap does connect onto a couple of heroes. Again, Duster, he's going to be a little bit far away from this. And everyone able to extricate themselves from any further danger in the top lane. Hyperstone already picked up here from King RD, and he is really close to this AC. As it stands, about 600, 530 gold away from the plate mail. Looks like paiN assembling to what they may think is a low-hanging fruit in this top lane, but Sacred mounting a defense and 4 heroes smoked up. Don't necessarily want to walk uphill, though. Ward is going to be planted down. Hex goes off on the north side, and the hook shot on the east. Finger of Death will blow up one. That's the Duster Shadow Shaman. And Crypt Swarm blows up a second. Still, though, no cores going to be taken out just yet by this Sacred lineup. But that should be enough to secure them a tier 2 top lane. Meanwhile, though, King RD mid lane, alongside HFN, has a tree grab available, can kind of work on this tower with his TA. HFN attacking real fast with the S and Y and the treads. Level 16 on this TA. And in fact, they don't even take out the tier 2 yet, top lane, so kind of just 2 kills for the sake of getting kills. Or Sacred side. I suppose the wave was not nearby enough. Tavo in the top lane setting up as the wave is cleaned up. And with the siege creep nearby, they should be able to get this denial, and will. Gambling the one to find it. Meanwhile, Leo style. Oh, he was silenced. Nice play once again from Leo style, as every time he's TP'd out, gone for that area of effect silence. And he did catch King RD this time. He'll be pleased when he watches the replay. Unless they lose, in which case he probably just won't watch the replay, but... Not immediately, at least. I mean, I'm sure these players watch all of their replays, but, you know, if you lose the qualification to a major, you might wait a bit. Arrow and the silence going to connect on Tavo. King RD hits a 3-man avalanche, but he's going to get hooked up for it. Toss out of the cogs, trying to make it away, but he's going to die as well. And perhaps an ill-advised reinitiation from the Tiny. Now Duster in trouble. Sonic Trap going to fly out, but he's more than likely to die. Tries to dodge the arrow, but, you know, only going to delay the inevitable death of the Shadow Shaman. HFN, no TP on his person, but just playing with absolute confidence here. And expects them to go into Roche. Bloodlust nearby, takes out the tier 2. This is some incredible... I don't know if it's game sense, just straight up balls, or recognition from HFN. But, you know, knowing that they find the kills right around the pit, what would you do? And going for Roche, certainly very high up on the pecking order as far as decisions to make after those kills. And so, you know, comfortable in that assumption, he does end up taking out the tier 2 mid lane. So not all is terrible for paiN Gaming. Hyperstone picked up by HFN. Got a Mithril Hammer as well. And another on the way. Am I tripping? Okay. Yeah, I don't know what a Mithril... Hyperstone and 2 Mithril Hammers builds, but I'm guessing he's just picking that up and then going Desolator. And he just really has kind of played the dodge split push game in this one. 1, 1, and 3. His only death was very early in the game, and I don't think he's gotten a kill for a long time as well. Meanwhile, King RD going to take out the tier 1 top lane. They are going to lose their equivalent tower in the bottom lane. And both teams kind of setting up similarly. Put the ward down over in the off lane. Try to take out the tier 2. Meanwhile, bottom lane, though. King RD going to rotate through. Tavo's nearby. Arrow will be dodged with the repel. And Masoku, he's just going to get blown to bits. As everyone else TPing out on the east side. So, 50% HP. Well, I guess they get the better trade as far as tower damage goes. The Sacred side, they do end up losing their Lion for it. King RD full AC, looking to work on a BKB as well, and should be very close to the Deso for HFN. Yeah, so I thought it was MKB, but then I looked at 2 Mithril Hammers, and I was like, I could swear that's 2 Javelins. And indeed it was. So, picks up the Desolator, farmed as all hell as HFN at this point, and has gone for a rather greedy build. No defensive items. Does have, of course, Tavo behind him and King RD. He's opted for the BKB, so the repels should be almost entirely designated towards HFN. Solely designated towards him. Duster working on a Force Staff. Tavo's got the Greaves, so essentials available to the Omni Knight. Force Staff for the Clockwork. Not much for the Lion, much like his counterpart in the Shadow Shaman. Solar Crest Yules for the Death Prophet, and she's, you know, feels a little bit underfarmed, but does pick up the plate mail now and does have 2,200 gold on her person. So items not indicative of overall net worth, where she sits at 4th. Still with a little bit of duration left on the Aegis. We will see Sacred make their way towards this bottom lane again. And again, the reactions are inbound. HFN, though, he's going to run into a couple, gets hexed up. They're actually going to burn through his refraction. Arrow's going to connect. It's a big kill if they get it, and they do. Finger of Death and everything used. And now they're going to press for more. They still have Aegis here. As King Tekka, no leap available. Rocket Flare will be dodged by the Ogre. Meanwhile, over on the east side, Duster, I don't know what he's trying to do. Solo up the Death Prophet doesn't seem like the wisest attempt here, and he's just gonna die and feed his ward, so he doesn't even have those for the high ground defense. Trying to make a really YOLO play, as he doesn't even have buyback now, and perhaps HFN communicated, guys, I don't have buyback, you know, we need to do something and quick, or we're gonna lose a Rax. And that indeed seems to be the case here, as Moonlight Shadows pop. Glyph gonna delay things a bit, and we'll see if they're able to fight here, but losing their structures quickly, as they'll just wait out HFN's respawn, it seems. Playing very safe. King RD, 15 seconds until his TA is back. They don't do buildings too quickly, though. Although with the Exorcism, should be alright. Avalanche going to fly out. King RD gets hexed up. Repel will be there, though. Hookshot is going to connect onto the Ogre, but it's pretty much going to mean Matthew just sacrifices himself for the greater good. Tries to cog and get away. Bloodlust there for Tavo. Degen Aura should slow down the Clockwork. Psionic Trap will do the deed as well. But still, melee racks taken only at the loss of a Clockwork is pretty darn good for Sacred side. They are into a Tiny and a TA, so really super melee creeps in one lane. Not the biggest accomplishment, but does give them a bit of breathing room here. A little bit of a exhale, perhaps, to come out from the Radiant side, as they are otherwise down in this game. Selfish. King RD does have the BKB. Didn't need to use it in that engagement. HFN, after that death, pretty far away from his MKB, but still a force to be reckoned. Okay. I'll shut my mouth. He has it. Foregoing the buyback here, really can taste it almost feels, as he makes his way down the mid lane undeterred. Top lane push to a sufficient amount for paiN, it feels. That split push shouldn't be a major concern of theirs. And they want to fight, and now, with the Aegis down. Occupying the enemy side of the map, King RD fishing for a pick. Feels rather safe with BKB. It doesn't feel like they can kill King RD very much. He'll clean up bottom. HFN will clean up mid as Arrow flies out. HFN blinks off to the east. Roshan min spawn is 1 minute and 30 seconds away. And paiN Gaming certainly have the upper hand as far as pushing waves in. Morana with the Maelstrom, the kind of only one that can do it for the Radiant side. But Cleave and the Side Blades will allow both the Tiny and TA to accomplish that goal. Everyone pinged out from the Radiant side as they're playing around their vision, but doesn't feel like Sacred will find an opening. I'm going to park herself near the friendly shrine. And just looking to find some farm in the meantime.
The prize is mine.
Is pretty damn close to the Mjolnir if she foregoes buyback, but I doubt she'll be doing that. Who knows? Gonna push in the top lane now and will be scouted by the paiN Gaming side. HFN just farming up a storm on this TA, level 22. Again, 4, 2, and 8. You know, only the last few engagements been involved here. Alright, sorry, 1, 2, and 5. I was like 4, 2, and 8. They only have 11 kills. 1, 2, and 5 on the TA, so certainly hasn't done much fighting in this game, but yet, level 22. And now, getting rid of some vision is the Radiant squad. That'll back away HFN and crew, as he seems to work on a Hurricane Pike here. So still no BKB for this TA. Interesting decision. Although Hurricane Pike perhaps gives her a bit of more of an ability to siege. So it could be the thought process there. Matthew looking to find someone. Has a rocket flare, but yeah, they just don't really see any sort of openings. Marana gonna pop the Manta up. Psionic Trap will fly out and be taken out pretty quickly. King RD rotating nearby. Didn't have a gem, but just, you know, good timing from King RD as he makes it away. They do have a gem, excuse me, on the clock. I don't think he was in range of that, though. So it looks like the Roshan dance from both sides, and it's actually, unfortunately for Sacred side, still a minute and a half away, where they'll have to address their bottom lane here sometime in that time interval. Else it'll be pushing into an already weakened tier 3. And TPN from Marana will be scouted by paiN Gaming side. Hurricane Pike completed up by HFN. So now 4-staff and Blink for mobility. And essentially 6-slotted at this point. Rocket Flare gonna fly out. And smoked up. Looking to play around the Roche Pit is the paiN Gaming side. And they have assumed the high ground here, so this could bode really well for them. There is Radiant Vision, so perhaps a bit of a false positive as smoke is going to pop. Psionic Trap finds one, but a blink into the trees from HFN. He forces himself out. Masoku's going to get blown up immediately. GA going to fly, and King RD still surviving. Now the Primal Split comes out from the Brewmaster, but they don't really have much follow-up. Tossed up into the air and brought down is the Death Prophet. And around the wards, the Radiant can no longer fight. Marana still trying to stand strong. She will get hit. Oh, the toss forward from the Shadow Shaman. He can't get the disables off, though. And a leap down to the low ground. Nicely played by King Tekka. King RD trying to press forward to find him, but can't. And King Tekka could have been the game over if he drops there. Now jump forward from the TA, trying to bring down the Marana. Instant 2 buybacks come out, and now we'll see the extraction from paiN Gaming. Bloodlust, not a multicast, but should give them, with the Greaves, the ability to retreat. King RD hanging around, though. Still a gem on Matthew's person, and oh my goodness, the double damage room, guys, for paiN Gaming. And Roche is up. Rocket Flare flies out, but they see the DD on the TA. King RD working on it, and they can't do anything about it, as Roche will melt to the Dire. What a fortunate rune. I know Nahaz, if you're watching, must be triggered. 35 minutes in. That Roche attempt is not possible without that double damage rune. Or at least not possible uncontested. And that's absolutely what it was. Uncontestable for the Radiant side. And paiN Gaming just take a wide lead after that fight. I mean, certainly they forced 2 buybacks, and so it would have been kind of a last gasp for Sacred if they were able to contest that. But now with Aegis in the hands of paiN Gaming and Cheese as well, and no buybacks on both the Death Prophet and the Brewmaster, this game just got immensely difficult. 25 talent, not that close for the extra few refraction instances, or perhaps even the paralysis of the side blades here could be good. Against the clockwork, you can use it off the cogs. It does seem like kind of a very unreliable talent, but especially, you know, trying to end the game, just the extra 4 instances of not only defensive but extra damage for the refraction just seems so good. So King RD under the cover of Shadow Blade. Dire Scan is right on top of themselves. Okay. Interesting choice.
The prize is mine. Mine.
Selfish.
Top lane, King Tekka doing his part to try and push this in. And he's really the only one pulling his weight as far as net worth goes from the Radiant side.
Do it with flair.
I mean, they still do have pretty good vision for the Radiant. The Dire are playing rather blind. They don't see anything on the map right now, despite having Aegis and Cheese. They could really use a gem of their own, but I don't think they're all that concerned with as I said, you know, right from the get-go on the draft screen, with continuing to scale in this game. Death Prophet is just not going to catch up to be equivalent to the worth of a Tiny or a TA. And Mirana just not considered the hardest carry, so despite all her net worth and King Tekka keeping up as far as levels go as well, it just, you know, they're not going to stand versus a Tiny TA. In a base race, Tiny TA will win handily, so no real major rush for paiN. They've got the Aegis in their hands, but it's probably best for them to establish vision, in their opinion, and take a fight on their terms. They don't have a tier 3 yet, which is the interesting part of all this. So they can't even take shrines just yet here at 38 minutes in. Jump up to the high ground from HFN. We'll begin to put some work in on the tower as Repel is thrown out, and a couple of swipes from that tree will take out the tier 3. We'll probably see them back and look at shrines here. King RD the last one to back, and almost even like hanging around to bait a hook shot there, but as he did have Aegis and Cheese, but we won't see Sacred Bite. HFN going to take out the first shrine. Tavo has a gem of his own now, bought by his friendly neighborhood ogre man. And 6k gold up on HFN. Almost 4k, a full moon shard of which is surplus. So certainly can see him consume one of those. Maybe he even just puts the blink dagger away here, as he'll likely be the one walking up to high ground. He does actually go for the 4 refraction instances, so I'm not sure why I said actually. Expected, for certain. Up on the high ground, Benjaz nearby. And he actually blinks away just in the nick of time. Had he hung around for a moment and then blinked away, it could have been perhaps even better for his squad. But now wrapping around Masoku, he may just get one-shotted here on the Lion. Repel is there, and yeah, we'll make it 2-shot and a Purification. 52 seconds on the sideline for Masoku's Lion. HFN going to be scouted by the Rocket Flare, and they will Wait for the mid lane wave, it seems. Moonlight Shadow going to be popped on the high ground. And Arrow going to fly out. Repel is there. Wards will be dropped down as well. Moonlight Shadow. Oh, but the melee rack's just shredded. And it looks like there's no TP on the Death Prophet. There isn't. So that lane of racks just goes down for free. I guess, you know, not the biggest thing to get animated about on my part. As even if she did have a TP, that Rax was just not long for this world. But if they continued to press, there could have been a very dicey Cloud9-esque situation. However, paiN Gaming, they'll be more than content, as I mentioned, you know, time and time again, to continue to drag this one out, make sure all their lanes are in a good position, and there's no potential for any sort of split push shenanigans.
Double damage.
Tavo, feeling the heat bottom lane, is going to make his way back to his teammates. And wisely so. The bottom lane is vacant here as far as structures go for the Dire, so you know there is some vulnerability to a tier 4 push. Moonshard was consumed here by HFN, so 7 slotted TA we have. Could pick up the Boots of Travel as well at some point, but it does seem like paiN are going to kind of move together as a unit. Aegis has expired. Daedalus, though, picked up in its place by King RD, and he does have the cheese on his person. Minimum spawn for Roche, 1 minute and 20 here at this 41-minute mark. And paiN Gaming, this has to feel good for them, you know, in team chat right now, as they consider possibly finishing a game that books them a ticket to the major. Would be a major accomplishment for them and for all of Brazil, for that matter, as they would be making it to a $1,500.1 million USD prize pool major. But let's not write off the Peruvian squad just yet, although the game is severely tilted against them. This is Dota 2. We've seen bigger comebacks. 42 minutes, about a 20k net worth lead.
The prize is mine.
Although this perhaps isn't the greatest high ground defense lineup.
Haste.
Come and be judged fairly.
Mirana will be scouted briefly here by the Dire side, so this is their opening. They want to jump forward. Blink up by the TA. Jump forward. BKB. Clap. But Benjaz almost dies from the right clicks. He's going to instantly have to primal split. The cleave just takes out the Brewlings. He's forced to scamper back with the Wind Brewling. And all the meanwhile, working on the tier 3 are the Serpent Wards and HFN. And this looks like the beginning of the end for Sacred, as they've already used the split. Hook shot forward. Toss up into the air, though, from King RD. He gets the BKB off. He's the only one in the cogs, and he'll just beat down on Matthew. Leo Style in the front lines gets a few different siphons off, but still taking a lot of damage to HFN. Leap forward, and the Starstorm doesn't do all that much. King RD tosses the Lion up into the air. Leo Style's going to get the Ghost Scepter off, but he should die in a moment. And Shackle will be there. Triple kill for King RD, who played out of his mind this game. They'll buy back on the Death Prophet, but really, to what avail, as Ben has is brought down, and the Death Prophet can only watch in horror as Matthew, a good sportsman, will call the GG and give congrats to his South American comrades, paiN Gaming, off the back of a great Game 1 from Tavo and a fantastic Game 2 from the combination of King RD and HFN. Now, HFN, he's going to show up on the stat sheet as the raid boss, but I got to say, King RD, look at that smile, just making some absolutely brilliant rotations in the early game, and very few deaths on the hero. Really seemed to do well in this one. Sacred go in for kind of an all-in on the early mid-game draft, and HFN did a good job dodging them in the mid-game, and the rest of his squad did an excellent job creating space, particularly in the top lane when Tavo and the Tiny were able to fend off that tier 1 push, and you know, almost that push seemingly keeping hold on map control for paiN Gaming, guys. paiN Gaming are going to qualify to Galaxy Battles 2 Emerging Worlds. They'll join Team Secret, Team Spirit, Optic, and Mineski as the qualifying teams. Still 2 wildcard teams to come, which involve the runner-ups from CIS and EU. So look out for Kingwin and Empire perhaps to make it through. And of course, the direct invites: Newbie, Infamous, OG, TNC, Virtus Pro, Liquid, EG, and LFY. So a great tournament to come in the Philippines for Galaxy Battles. That kicks off in January, so these guys can be kind of happy for the rest of their year. paiN Gaming, I'm just going to shout them out because South America, very proud of them and what they've been able to accomplish recently in Dota. And so why not? Let's rhyme them off. HFN, William Medeiros, King RD, the captain, Danilo Nascimento, Tavo, Otavio, Gabriel, and Duster, Heitor Pereira, Gambling, Fabio Fernandez. Viva Brazil. Brazil will take out Peru. Peru, good luck to them in the rest of the season, and hopefully they live to fight another day. But paiN Gaming, punch their ticket, guys, to the Galaxy Battles LAN. Until next time, on behalf of the Beyond the Summit, it's been MRP here. I hope you guys enjoyed the cast and the grand finals and all of the Galaxy Battles coverage. Shout out to all the BTS casters and the remote casters who are able to cover that for you guys. If you enjoyed the cast, you can follow me over on Twitter at MRP Dota. Be sure to follow at Beyond the Summit as well for everything Dota 2 and BTS. Until then, guys, MRP signing out.